Hey guys, Eric and Joey here to talk about The Walking Dead episode called Clear. Andrea wasn't in it, so it was our favorite episode ever.
Yes.
That's all I got to say. Joey?
No, but honestly, it was. I think it was my favorite episode since the pilot. I will say it's definitely my favorite episode this season, which it's sort of ironic that it comes after my least favorite episode, possibly ever. But I really, really love this episode.
Yeah, it was terrific. And, sometimes, we kind of take flack for liking the episodes of Walking Dead. They're the big zombie attack ones and not the smaller character ones.
Yeah.
Well, that's because a lot of times they don't do the smaller character ones very well. Case in point last week.
Yeah.
This one was very much a small character one. Really nothing changed plot-wise by the end of it. But it was such a great, impactful, sort of, emotional episode, I thought.
I thought it was really well constructed, too. It's a standalone episode. It has the bookends of the Hitchhiker thing.
Yeah.
But really, it's all about Rick. Obviously, he rediscovers Morgan, who was in that pilot episode that I mentioned. But it's really about sort of looking into this mirror, and that's Morgan in this episode is very much the path that Rick is on right now. Right. Which I thought, that's what's so interesting about the episode to me.
And, for the first time I can say a pretty damn good episode for Michonne.
Yes.
They really use this episode to stop her from just being silent and scowling. She can still be guarded. She can still, have her distance, but have a lot more characterization there, a lot more outright conversations. Yeah. And the ending, like you said, sort of a mirror to Rick, and then the end with her revealing that she used to talk to her dead boyfriend. Yeah. A great way for these two characters to kind of connect at that moment.
Yeah, and even Carl gets some nice moments here. He goes along for the trip. He sort of has ulterior motives that we discover to get this picture of his family, which is kind of a sweet thing. And then him and Michonne have that bonding moment in the bar. So it was all around really great character-focused episode.
Yeah, and last year, an episode I really loved in season 2 was a similar one in that the one where Rick, Shane, and Randall kind of took off together. That one still went back to the farm a bit. It was the only storyline Beth ever had when she was going to kill herself. This one just this one just stayed with these three people, which I think was the right choice. It was so and Morgan, of course. Yeah. It was really, I think a lot of people were hoping to see Morgan again, and it was kind of very interesting to see where he'd gone. He was so crazy, but he was also so clever.
Yeah.
All the traps and things he'd set up.
Yeah, and the people that love the bloody zombie stuff still got a little bit of that in this episode.
Yeah.
It wasn't as outright like gore.
No.
But all the booby traps and things like that I think are really cool and really something new that we haven't really seen in the show before.
Yeah, and then even that little sequence with Michonne and Carl in the bar, I thought was very well done, and Michonne had some cool moments with the sword, but also showing Michonne and Carl starting to understand each other more, work together more, and even though I'm not quite sure how she got that picture back, it was
it was
cool.
Really fast.
It was super.
It was like
fast.
lightning fast. I did notice that, and I did have like a couple of little things with the episode. That was one of them. Also in the bar, like it was just very like Hollywood when oh god they all pop out of the most darkest corners, that kind of thing. And also there was that moment after they had started firing at Morgan on the roof, and then Michonne was like, well, he tried to shoot us. And I was like, well, you kind of opened fire first, so do you really blame him? And they never acknowledged that, and that was weird for me. But that was it, really. Those were my only problems with it.
No, it was great, and even the end you mentioned, you kind of felt like they would have to go back to that hitchhiker, and I assumed to see him as a zombie. What they actually did, I thought, was even more powerful with him taking his backpack. Because the whole setup was that it's become that for them. They can't trust anyone. Who knows? Is this guy luring them into an army of horrible people? So they just pass him, and so the end, the fact that it's a real, just out for yourself world, that they would grab his backpack.
Yeah. What I thought was also interesting is that had they run into the hitchhiker alive on the way back from seeing Morgan, would they have stopped?
Right.
Because obviously this experience with Morgan is going to change Rick in some way, and so I'm curious to see if that would, in terms of the hitchhiker, if that would have changed his mind about him in any way. Maybe not, but it's something to ponder, I suppose.
It's a possibility, and I'm just so happy to come out of this episode so much more positive about Michonne. I was hoping last week would do that for Andrea, and it didn't. Yeah. And so I really hope that sort of the path they put Michonne on in this episode, Carl sort of accepting her at the end in an episode that helped us accept her more, is good going forward for this show and something we really needed.
Totally.
So do you share our enthusiasm for Clear? Let us know, and we'll see you next week for more Walking Dead. Thanks.